Our first 3 days of riding our bikes in Colombia were full of suffering. We had to push our bikes, take turns pushing, walking back to get my bike, and it was really, really hard. So how was it going to go on after that? Well, you'll see. Just keep watching. Hello, bicycle touring fans. Welcome to Bicycle Touring Talk 128. My name is George Schlacek, and bicycle touring is definitely my thing. If you've never tried it, but are curious, this series can give you a glimpse of some of the things you can expect. The previous video, number 127, actually was about one of the toughest days I've ever experienced on a bicycle tour, and that's despite the fact that Barbara and I only rode and pushed about 17 kilometers. For those of you in the US, that's just barely over 10 miles. It's the mountains, guys. Mountains will slow you down, and so will wrong turns. Go watch it and come back if you haven't seen it. So now we were in Guaduas, Colombia. We had just met a group of cyclists who told us they were headed for Santa Marta, 900 kilometers away. But those guys had no luggage. So they must have had a support vehicle or something somewhere. Or do people actually do tours without any stuff? Keep in mind that from Bogota, this was like a 1,000-kilometer trip. Going through Guaduas was much like going through La Vega, the first town we had passed and stayed overnight. Straight through without any bends and twists. Easy to know that you're on the right track. After a major traffic circle, we hopped onto the Ruta del Sol, the major highway. In this case, this was actually a good thing. It's a toll road and not everyone takes it. Right away we had a very nice wide shoulder to ride on and the traffic was very light. As soon as we passed the traffic circle though, we had another hill to climb. It wasn't as steep as the ones from the day before, but Barbara still decided to get off and push her bike.
Yeah, we just came out of Guadua and now we were told this road was going to be all level, all flat, but just to get out of the town now we got a 1.5 kilometers or so, pretty steep climb actually. I was slowed down right to 6 kilometers an hour and had to help Barbara push. Anyways, I think it's going to level out after that and we're probably going to have some easy riding.
It was impossible for her to ride it, she said. Way too hard. Well, it turned out that her rear tire was going flat. We took a 15-minute stop to patch it up and pump it back up again, and we were on our way. It was really much better riding than the previous day with what you'd call rolling hills. We still had to climb a lot, but it was manageable. At one point, a truck with two sketchy-looking guys in it stopped in front of us. There was no one else around and we were wondering what they wanted. Then the passenger side window rolled down and the guy passed us 2 bags of ice-cold water. Oh yeah, I need to tell you that in Colombia, the cheapest way to buy drinking water is in bags. We couldn't really haul them like that, but as long as you have enough water bottles, you can just refill them. That was a really nice gesture, and it was actually just one example of the amazing hospitality we were experiencing in Colombia. We only had a brief chat with these guys, but they brought smiles to our faces for the rest of the day. Now, slowly but surely we were realizing that we might have another problem. Where were we gonna stay? We still had a few hours of daylight left, but it seemed like this toll road wasn't going through any towns for quite a long stretch. We had decided to take it because it seemed more direct, and the good ride seemed to confirm that it had been the right decision, but how far could we realistically hope to get? At one point we passed a sign that announced a hotel about 10 kilometers ahead, so we were a bit relieved.
We're reaching the end of another very tough day, but we've got over 60 kilometers covered so far, and the road is still like this spot that goes down, and it's quite nice, and then we have these fairly steep and long hills, and we have to go through a tunnel back there just a little while ago, and now we're just looking for a restaurant slash hotel so we can call this a day.
But it really looked like there was nothing, just hills and rocks. Even the vegetation already looked very different from the higher elevation, and the heat was intense. At one point we had to go through a tunnel. Shortly after that we found the place. It wasn't much, but there were two women cooking under a makeshift shelter that also had a couple of plastic tables and chairs under it. Yes, there was a hotel here, one of the ladies said. Did we want to eat supper first though, so she could get our room ready for us? Yes, we did. The nice thing about the typical Colombian food is that there's always some caldo available before the actual meal. Caldo is a soup that has beef and beef bones in it, besides some potatoes, vegetables, and not much else. It's kind of salty and really helps you stay hydrated. We had been sweating buckets for most of the day. The hotel was about as basic as it gets, but it was okay for a night and really quiet. There was a fan for cooling, but no air conditioning. We slept good. Finally, we had ridden over 60 kilometers in a day. It meant that we were actually getting somewhere. I had a map on my iPad which made it possible to get a rough idea of our location. La Dorada couldn't be too far away. We decided to make it there the next day and then take another rest day. After we got up pretty early the next morning, we had breakfast at the same place.
We got an early start this morning. We're only planning about 20 kilometers to get a rest day tomorrow. And yeah, we just had almost 6 kilometers of downhill, which was fun. And now you can see Barbara way in the distance there. I'm gonna catch up to her. I think we have about 2 or 3 kilometers at least climbing. So it's up and down. We stopped once more at a more modern highway rest area to have some soup and cold drinks. So we're not too far from our turn off to La Dorada, and it's only maybe 9:15, 9:20, so we're getting the hang of this. We get an early starts in the morning so we don't get the worst of the sunlight, because we're still not used to it. We're still peeling and burning. But we're getting better at it, and probably tomorrow we're just gonna take a day off, and today we don't have that much left. The heat was now definitely a challenge. A while later we reached a highway overpass where we either had to turn north, the direction we ultimately needed to go, or south just a bit to get into the town of La Dorada. It was maybe 5 kilometers or so out of our way, but we stuck with our plan. We came across a really nice looking hotel just before reaching La Dorada and asked about a room, even though it was a bit early.
We were told that the entire place was all booked out. There's a military facility near La Dorada, and it seemed like that hotel was used by military personnel. We had to cross the Magdalena River to get to La Dorada. There was a really narrow path that we were able to use, which was probably more for pedestrians, but there was also a sign banning bicycles from the car lanes. Traffic in town was busier than out on the highway, but it was worth going into town as this was another great place to spend an extra day. We found a hotel that was almost fancy compared to all the other places we'd been staying at. It was slightly more expensive, but well worth it. We took the room for 2 nights. This hotel had great internet, a flat screen TV, and air conditioning. We had to lock up our bikes in the car parking garage. It was still early in the day, so we once again did quite a bit of walking around to explore the town. Find a great place to eat and later enjoy ice cream. The next day we were gonna sleep in, walk around town, check out the river, eat fish, and simply enjoy the place. I'll tell you more about it when I come back with episode 129. Unfortunately, I won't be able to record that for a couple of weeks, but there will be other new content on my channel that you might like. Please give this video some support by hitting the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't done it yet. I'll see you soon.